Morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. Good. Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you.
Did you have a good weekend?
I did. How was yours?
It was great. Very, very good.
Okay.
Sure was.
I think where y'all decorated Malia's nursery.
That's been an ongoing project, and it's coming together so nicely. It is
So pretty. It is awesome.
Thank you. We're excited. Can't wait.
Oh, I know. I'm excited for y'all.
I think we'll go ahead and get started. I think it's time. Thank y'all for joining me this morning. I sure appreciate it. I always look forward to sharing and talking. And today I want to talk about something that I've actually touched on before, and I think it's important enough to talk about again. But I also think that there's another aspect of it that I want to talk about that I really didn't touch on before, and that is the notion of practice. And before, in this session, several weeks ago, I talked about practice in terms of, I think, possibly the way most people think about practice, and that is a repeated exercise in or performance of an activity or skill so as to acquire or maintain proficiency in it. And I referenced Malcolm Gladwell and his bringing the research forward that to really become proficient at something, it takes about 10 years or 10,000 hours of doing it in a certain focused way in an environment where you receive feedback. And that's a valid form of practice. There's no question about it. When I started playing guitar, what has been required of me to gain any level of proficiency at all, and I'm just starting this journey, but is practice. And the more I practice, the better I get. The more I practice, the more proficient I get. The same is true of basketball. I have played basketball for the vast majority of my life, and I have acquired skill, abilities, started with a certain amount of athletic ability, but really is nothing until you do something with it, until you practice in a certain way. And I have a pretty consistent shot. When I shoot the ball, I expect it to go in. I'm always surprised and disappointed when it doesn't. And that's because of 40 years of shooting the basketball in a certain way. That's the type of practice I think most of us think about. Related to that, Malcolm Gladwell said, basketball is an intricate, high-speed game filled with split-second, spontaneous decisions. But the spontaneity is possible only when everyone first engages in hours of highly repetitive and structured practice, perfecting their shooting, dribbling, and passing and running plays over and over again, and agrees to play a carefully defined role on the court. Spontaneity isn't random. And the split-second decisions, the ability to change the type of shot you're going to take, actually in the air. You've already started in one way, the defender does something, you have to adjust. The ability to do that comes from practice. Hours and hours and hours, years and years and years of practice. And the very best started with a certain athletic ability, a certain size advantage, certain body shape, and yet they've worked harder than anyone else to build a on top of that through practice. So I think that's the kind of practice we normally think about. What I want to talk about today is a different aspect of practice. This type of practice I want to talk about is defined like this. Practice as a noun is the actual application or use of an idea, belief, or method, as opposed to theories about such applications or use. Practice as the actual application. I could ask you this morning, what do you believe? But guess what? I don't care. Because belief's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. Except how we put it into practice. And you and I, all of us have beliefs. We have thoughts, we have concepts, we have ideas. But how many of those never become more than that? Never become something we actually apply, actually do. We practice. We just believe them. We just think them. Such and such is true, right? You know, we don't even question why we think it's true. Our culture, our parents, our religion taught us something, actually gave us something before we were able to think critically, and we just accepted it. And now that's our worldview, and we accept that to be true, and we believe certain things. We look at here in America the attack that happened in Washington back in January. I think that was January 6th. Is that right? Anyway, whenever it was. There's a lot of people with the kind of beliefs that those criminals had. But those particular criminals put that belief into practice, and they were told the election was stolen against every credible source out there that said it was absolutely not. They believed that, they internalized that, they were told that, but that's not all. It wasn't just a belief. They said, now I'm going to put this into practice. My obligation is to go and attack the Capitol, to try to stop the certification of the election. They killed people. And you want to talk about practice, you want to talk about belief. They murdered people in the pursuit of that practice. There are a lot of people all over that have racist ideas, believe their race is superior, believe other races are inferior, believe certain stereotypes. But there's a huge difference in that versus those who put into practice an active application of being prejudiced against other people, of actual oppression of other people, of actually treating others, as other than you, as less than you, as not one of you, as not part of you, as not connected to you, but as another. So there's a world of difference between thought, ideas, beliefs, and actual practice, actually what we do. I have each pretty much every year of my adult life, I have created my goals for the coming year. End of December, early January, reflect on the previous year, think about what's coming ahead and what I'd like to accomplish. And usually write them down, make a list. This year, for the first time, I not only made my normal list, but I actually printed them out and framed them and have put them over the house. And I have several in my study. I have around the house, like my music goals are in the music room. My writing, publishing goals are in my study. And so the reason I am doing these Monday mornings is because of one of my 2021 goals. This is putting into practice a thing. Not something I just wanted to happen or thought would be a good idea, but actually putting it into practice. When I looked at this morning, and like I said, I haven't broken down into several. So I have like daily to do that are related to health and spirituality and things. And then I have a 2021 daily to be. These are my to be goals. So I have to do goals, but then I have to be goals. And it has things like loving. I want to be loving. I want to be kind. I want to be generous. I want to be peaceful. I want to be wise. I want to be well read, healthy, open, honest, productive, on and on and on. That is the sense in which I want to talk about practice today. In the sense of putting into practice. And I'm trying my best to get away from the other aspect of practice that we've touched on, which is practicing to get better at something. Practice guitar in order to play better. Practicing basketball in order to get better. Because I know I deal with, and you can relate to this, but whether you can or not, what I deal with is a certain type of moral, ethical, spiritual perfectionism. And I am continually wanting to be something, be a certain way. And the shift I'm trying to make in mindset is away from perfectionism and just into practice. I have become convinced that it is absolute bullshit to say that practice makes perfect. But I do believe practice makes things permanent. And that's what I want to achieve, is a type of practice that has nothing whatsoever to do with how I feel about it. Has nothing whatsoever to do with whether I'm good at it or not. I just want to continuously, daily, moment by moment, practice certain things to become them, to be them, and not to judge whether I'm getting better at these things. I mean, I think, naturally, the more we practice something, the better we get at it. But I'm trying to completely detach myself from outcome, rather than having a goal related to proficiency or getting good at a certain thing or getting better at it. I just want the goal to be to practice, just to put into practice these things. That's what I'm talking about. Aristotle said, for the things we have to learn before we can do them, we learn by doing them. And isn't that true of everything? I mean, yes, there are certain types of practices, certain things we can do prior to doing something as a way of trying to learn it. But the truth is, the greatest learning, the greatest ability to practice something, we learn by doing. And the best teachers show us how something is done. They then do it with us. Then they allow us to do it with them observing and give us feedback. That last part is critical, us actually doing it, because we learn by doing. I want to practice love, forgiveness, compassion, integrity, honesty, openness every single day. I want to practice those things. And I want to stop focusing on how I feel about them, how I feel about my practice of them, how I believe I have done in practicing those. I want to try to let go of all that and just practice. Just do them, put them into practice. In the sense of an attorney practicing law. An attorney doesn't practice law, just practice to get good at law. An attorney actually practices law. A doctor, even though there's tons of training and tons of education and practicing of a certain kind, but then that doctor actually practices medicine. And that's the sense in which I'm talking about. I want to be a lover who practices love. I want to be a rich, deep, resonant soul who lives soulfully, who practices soul-based living. I want to be a creative who's practicing creativity, continuously putting these things into practice. Bell Hooks said, the practice of love offers no place of safety. We risk loss, hurt, pain. We risk being acted upon by forces outside of our control. Katerina Klemer said, the practice of forgiveness is very much the practice of meditation. You have to do it often and persistent. You have to do it often and persist at it in order to be any good. And again, for me, I'm trying to just completely, whether I'm good at it or not, take that last part off and just put it into practice. These things that are on my list to be, the things on my list to do, and the ones that are in every area of my life, I just want to do them. Using this little gathering on Mondays as an example, I don't want to question whether I'm good at this, whether the doing of it makes me better, or if I'm getting better, or if I'm doing better. I just want to do it. I just want to put it into practice. And that's what we're doing. That's why we're here. Detached from outcome. I have no control over who shows up. I have no control over who listens later. I have no control over if this does anything good for you, any benefit for anyone. And I really never know. Sure, people have been very kind and said, oh man, this was helpful, or this was, or I appreciate this, or it was, but ultimately I have no idea what's going on inside of you any more than you do what's going on inside of me. All I can do is practice. And I want to practice apart from perfectionism. Perfectionism tells me that I am supposed to be certain things. If I say that my commitment, my goal in life is to live a love-based life, that I want my actions to be loving and kind, that I want my words, that I want my deeds to flow from a place of love. My ego is continually telling me that's who you are. That's who you have to be. That's your identity. Rather than saying, forget that, just do it. Just practice it. And if I'm going to live a love-based life, then that means I'm going to have to, as Rumi talked about, remove every barrier within me that's blocking that flow of love. Resentment, unforgiveness, judgments, whatever it happens to be. My ego wants to tell me that should be an automatic thing. That's just who I am. Practice tells me it's something that I do, and I have to do it over and over and over and over again. There's no end to the kind of practice that I'm talking about. It's not going to become automatic. I'm not going to become perfect at it. I won't always feel great about it. And most of the things I'm talking about have to be done, on a daily basis, several times a day, moment by moment, to stay as open, as clear, as loving and kind so that love flows into me and through me. It's just a practice. It's just a commitment to doing it. Doesn't matter how I feel about it. It doesn't matter, whether I get it right or wrong, or what percentage is right, what percentage is wrong. It doesn't matter that I'm no better at it today than I was yesterday. It's not who I am. It's what I practice. Now, again, what I practice is going to be who I am, what I become, right? If I practice worry and anxiety, guess what? Yeah, I'll get pretty damn proficient at those things. If I practice love and kindness and forgiveness, compassion, support and encouragement, I'll get better at those things. But what I'm stressing today is I don't care. It shouldn't matter. In this aspect of practice, it's not about getting better. It's just about doing the damn stuff. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm saying for someone who comes from a place of perfectionism, who wants to be a certain thing, a certain type of goodness, a certain type of proficiency in love, in wisdom, and on and on and on, I need to detach that from the practice itself. Pema Chodron said, it helps to remember that our spiritual practice is not about accomplishing anything, not about winning or losing, but about ceasing to struggle and relaxing in what is. That's how I want to practice. The actual application or use of an idea, belief, or method, as opposed to theories about such application or use. Anton Chekhov said, knowledge is of no value, unless you put it into practice. Anybody have anything they'd like to say, share, respond, take issue with, question?
Michael, thank you for that elucidation of that wonderful topic. I have discovered over the years that I want to be more like a dog and enjoy every day, every moment of the day, and not have to worry or think about what others think I should be doing that would maybe better someone else or even myself, but just enjoy what I have. And that's a hard lesson to do, because most of us have a lot of things put on us that we have to be and do and go and so on. But I guess when you get older and you're retired, you have a little bit more command of your time. And so that's my practice. I am trying to be more like a dog and enjoy everything and not feel obsessed that I must do something. So that's a good
awesome.
topic. It is a good topic.
You think your dog or the dog you're emulating is sitting there thinking, I want to be the best dog ever. I want to be the best barker. I want to be the best.
No, they're
gotta be perfect.
Thinking, I want to get next to Mama, as close as I can to Mama.
Right.
Ellen, I love your dog metaphor for sure. it's what we all aspire to be, right? I'm thinking of this project or this sort of performance model that we've been working with at my job. It's called the 5 Dynamics. I don't know if you've all heard of it, but it's kind of a questionnaire that individuals answer, and it kind of categorizes you into how you naturally focus your energy and where your energy naturally flows from. So there are different layers, like there's an explore person, and then there's an excite person, and then there's the examine person, the execute, and the evaluate. And I found that I'm super high in the excite, right? I can get all excited about something, but it's the follow through and the execution and then the evaluation that gets me in a pickle. So in a group or a team kind of setting, my energy works great to get the ball rolling. And then I pass the baton on to somebody who's going to examine it and execute, right? Till the next project comes around that I could get all excited about. But when you're your own team trying to practice and navigate on a path through life, you know, it's so easy to rely on the things that come naturally to us, and just finding people that can demonstrate that kind of follow through is helpful to me to learn from them and to grow from them, because that is just where I lose it. You know, I got the energy for it all day long, just the follow through. So I love this conversation, and knowing that I see you as somebody who's very accomplished, but just knowing that you struggle with keeping it fresh and you know, keeping that path well worn and moving forward is very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, you know, Denise,
Yeah.
you said something very profound, that that Michael is very accomplished, and no doubt he is. You know, a published author, and he does so much for his community, and I admire him tremendously. I'm not talking about you like you're not in the room, Michael, but I do. I admire you very much. But everybody, every living person has accomplished something. We are all accomplished, and we just have to get away from the Madison Avenue view of what accomplishment is. And for many, many years, I always felt I should be more, I should do more, I should obtain more, I should advance in my profession more. You know, I should do so many things. And, you know, and then finally I realized that it really doesn't matter. You can accomplish the world, but you have to live, you know, and I think the life is your accomplishment, and enjoy the things that you are very well prepared to do, and also enjoy the things that you really have no clue on how to do, but you're trying to learn how to do. And in every moment, just enjoy that, and realizing that other people, everybody has to get their blessing. Now, you can't do it all, because if you do everything, well, what about the person next to you? They get nothing. So you need to back up, girl, back up. You can't do everything. Let someone else have a share. Enjoy what you got. Just live your life and love it, and just go with that. And I think you'd be a lot happier no matter what happens in the workplace or your neighborhood or whatever. I think you'll enjoy it better. And I'm going to shut up now.
Absolutely. So good. So good.
Thanks, guys. Thanks to everyone. Thank you, Michael, for everything that everyone's talked about and shared. I love this idea. For one thing, when you said practice makes perfect, I freaking hate that statement. And that's because I am a perfectionist as far back as I can recall. And so it's something that I struggle with. Now, saying that doesn't mean that you know, everything is perfect around me. It's just that I think I should be perfect. I think I should be doing this better, whatever it is. I think I look at all of the things I've accomplished, and oh yeah, because I accomplished them, that must have been easy. You know, it's really nutty. But I love this idea that and it goes along with the other thing, that when you hear that people are doing the best they can, that also makes me go nuts, because the best for me is 110%, right? And so I just go, oh, when I hear that, because it just puts the pressure on me. It puts the pressure on everyone else when I say that statement, because that's through my eyes an interpretation of it. So I love this idea that practice makes permanent. Really great, great idea. And really want to try to do this, that it's not about accomplishing anything. It's just about doing it, practicing it. So thank you for that concept. And then when I've heard about everybody saying, I want to live like my dog, I so relate. I've had dogs and cats though, and I think each one teaches us something. The cats that I've had seem to teach me detachment with love. My dogs teach me unconditional love, and they're full of joy. And then recently I've been doing this meditation that's about dog mind versus the lion mind, and that's given me another thing to think about, right? So the dog, if if the person waves a bone in front of a dog, what does the dog do? The dog goes this way and that. You throw it in a corner, the dog runs after it in the corner. And then it says, if you take that bone and wave it in front of a lion, what does a lion do? Well, he might look at it, and then he kind of looks back at you because you're a bag of bones, right? And then you throw it in the corner, and he kind of looks over at the corner and he looks back at you. And so he's not going every which way and that way after bones. So I kind of think all three of them have something to teach. And anyway, that's my animal story. Thanks, guys, for listening.
My practice of art in literature and writing novels, more recently in music, over the years in drama, film, and different pursuits, but mostly novel writing, has taught me the that perfection is impossible, and that perfectionism is an enemy, and that most people who practice perfectionism in their art are coming from a place of fear. And there's a lot of people who won't release their art into the world, won't publish it, won't produce it, won't share it, claiming perfectionism, but it's actually fear. It's fear of rejection, it's fear of criticism, it's fear of failure. And yet, every single artistic act is a relative failure. Some are less than others, but even that's very arbitrary. And who says that? You know, who decides that? But the practice of my art has made me accept imperfection, to embrace it, to appreciate it. And I feel like in so many ways, my perfectionism in life and the lessons that it has to teach, or that life has to teach me about perfectionism, is lagging behind my learning of it through the practice of art. And I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to apply to practice that same concept of the embracing, the appreciation of imperfection, and the realization there is no such thing as perfectionism. There is no such thing as a perfect work of art. Nothing. I mean, the ones that every critic in the world and history has said, this is, amazing, this is transcendent, generation after generation appreciates this, Shakespeare or whomever, is still not perfect and never will be. Why is that so hard in life for me? Why is it so much easier to accept that and embrace that when it comes to the things I create, and not in life, not in my practice of love and kindness and forgiveness and compassion and honesty and openness and integrity and these things that I'm practicing? Why am I not as comfortable embracing the imperfection of them, of my practice of them, of me, as I am when it comes to my art? Yes.
I have a suggestion, a possible answer. I had counseling a number of years ago because I kind of had a lot of problems and I didn't know how to tackle my problems. And the counselor suggested that I write the problem down on a piece of paper and put it in the middle of the table, and then look at the problem from all angles around the table. Just get up, walk around the table and look at it from all angles. And you'll be amazed at the ideas that come to you on how to solve this problem by getting it out of self and into another dimension. And that, I would say, for you, your art, your novels, your writings, your podcast, everything is you have projected. It's outside of you. It's not really the you. It's not the Michael Lister. It's outside of you. So that can be judged on its own merit, like it was your own, another entity. That's Mr. X, but you are Mr. A, and no one can touch you, but they can do anything they want to the art that's out there. And I guess you just have to be more Mr. X inside too, if you want to get real criticism, or I mean, anybody, not just you, Michael, but anybody that wants to get more critiquing, more deeper relationships and so on, to have not only what you produce out there as an extension of you, it's really you, but also the real you inside. And I think a lot of people don't want to do that. So they'll put their art out there, and that's Mr. X. But Mr. A is still in here. You can't touch me. Can't touch me. You do whatever you want over there, but you can't touch me. And I found that very helpful, though, when I put my problems on the paper and put it in the middle of the table. And I've got a lot of solutions, working on solutions, because I was out of the concept.
Right.
So
It's one of the, and I was going to say, one of the first lessons you learn when you go public with your art is the, but some people never learn it, so it's not necessary, it's not automatic, but the ability to separate yourself from what you're creating. So many people can't and don't. So every criticism of their art, they take as a criticism of themselves.
Right.
And you're right. Learning to detach is critical, and we should do that the same way internally. I'm not my thoughts. I'm the thinker. I'm
That's
the
right.
observer
Exactly.
of all these things, and that's a valuable lesson. Zoom is about to cut us off. We have just a few seconds left. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for everything you shared.
Okay.
Sure appreciate you, and love
Let's
you.
get out of our own way this week.
Yeah, get out of your own way, Denise.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Michael.
Move over, sister. Hi, guys.
Thank
Can't
you,
wait for
Michael.
next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
Mike. Bye.
Bye-bye.